Okay, I believe we are ready to go, Arena. Not seeing my Q&A button. Maybe that will pop up here shortly. But anyway, for those who have joined us live for this Tuesday talk, thank you for joining us. My name is Jen Chaney. I'm the Vice President of Franchise Development for Right at Home. And today we are talking about caregiver recruitment and retention. And I have somebody joining me today who is an absolute expert in her field when it comes to caregiver recruitment and retention. Nikki, if you would please go ahead and introduce yourself to our attendees today.
Yeah, happy to. Thank you for the warm introduction. My name is Nikki. I am the Vice President of People Strategy here for Right at Home. I'm old, Jen, so I think I have somewhere like 30 years maybe of HR related types of experience, home care experience of about 10 years and franchising experience. So really excited to be here with you and with everybody today.
Okay, thank you for that. And for those who have joined us live, we love audience participation. So there is a way that you can easily do that. There is a Q&A button either at the top or bottom of your Zoom screen, whoever you have it set up. There's a button that says Q&A. If you click on that button, you can type in a question as Nikki and I are chatting over the course of the next half hour or so. There's even a little box that you can click that says anonymous so that nobody can see your name and nobody knows who's asking the question. But either way, we love it when people ask questions, so please do not hesitate to type a question if you have one that comes up while Nikki and I are discussing all things caregiver recruitment and retention. Okay, are you ready to get started, Nikki?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this is not the first time that you and I have spoken about this topic. We continue to add this topic to our agenda for Tuesday Talks because it is a frequently asked question. The audience that is attending today, either live or watching this on a recorded basis, these are individuals who are interested in joining Right at Home as a potential, Right at Home franchise owner. And as you know, caregivers, I like to say, are the heartbeat of our business. So without caregivers, there isn't much of a Right at Home business model, right? So what are all of the things that we as the franchisor do to help and support our franchise owners with caregiver recruitment and retention? So I made a few notes before our meeting here, Nikki, and I want to start with recruitment tools and resources. So let's start with the recruiting part of caregivers. And then we'll transition on to the retention part. So let's talk about what are some of the recruiting tools that we have in place to help our franchise owners with caregiver recruitment.
Yeah, thank you. So when it comes to recruiting caregivers, there's so much to think about, truly. There's so many kind of moving parts when it comes to it. One is as it pertains to really just, how to post jobs, how to get your name out there in your community as an employer who is hiring and really start that process. There's the sophistication in this regard just really kind of astounds me when I step back and think about it, right? Jen, I'm not sure if you remember looking in the Sunday paper for jobs, but I am that old, so I remember that. And everything is so digital these days, and really, like I said, sophisticated when it comes to the algorithms. I know TikTok has algorithms and Instagram has algorithms, but so do job boards, and so do all the different recruiting platforms that folks are using these days. So one of the things that we do here at the corporate office is provide that there's templates and guides on how to post a job, types of verbiage that you want to use when posting a job, how to increase traffic by ensuring that you've got that search engine optimization by using the most commonly searched keywords for job seekers as caregivers. And we've done that research for our franchisees. And we've made that available to them so that they really can plug and play what they need to do as it pertains to posting and starting the recruiting process. I will say, in addition to that, we have several preferred partnerships that we have curated and continue to maintain and evaluate on an ongoing basis for functionality like applicant tracking systems and how you can use that preferred partner, that applicant tracking system, to efficiently and effectively communicate with candidates, to create workflows so there's some automation in the process so that you're not tied to your computer all day looking at resumes or making phone calls or whatnot. So that's definitely one of the pieces. In addition to recruiting, I would also say electronic onboarding. There's been a lot of strides made in how franchisees can leverage the tools that we've made available to onboard applicants with ease. And really, that even starts before new hire orientation. So that's those pesky task forms and those I-9s and all of those things that you can get done and out of the way prior to them even coming in and starting new hire orientation. So lots of good things around that recruitment standpoint.
Okay, so here's I like to take notes. I took a few notes as you were talking.
Okay.
So to summarize things, starting with job postings, templates, specific words to use to increase that traffic. All of this is housed in an applicant tracking system. So a specific software. Is there specific software that we use, or is it recommended that they use a certain kind? They can use whatever they want. Let's talk more about that.
Yeah, that's a really great question. So we do not have a requirement on a specific applicant tracking system or specific job boards that a franchisee might use or leverage as part of their search. We do have, like I said, a handful of preferred partners, and those are folks, those are companies that we have vetted from, I guess, a few different vantage points. One is functionality. So does it offer the functionality that is necessary when recruiting for these types of positions? And when I say these types, what I mean by that is we know that franchisees are not going to post just one job one time for one client that they might have. It's an ongoing process. It's we call it evergreen recruiting. It's just always happening. And that requires kind of a different set of functionality. So we're, of course, vetting for that. We're vetting for price. We're vetting for, like I said, those workflows, making sure that the franchisee or the franchisee staff and their office can be effective with their time and efficient with the technology that they have to make it work for them. So those are some of the things. Is it required, a specific one required? No, it is required to have an ATS, but the franchisee can choose which ATS that is.
Okay, got it. So I'm clear on that. So then once we've got this, we've got the platform, we've got the software where everything is housed, you talked about onboarding. So like all of the, think about all of the paperwork when it comes to hiring just an employee, all of that is housed in this ATS. What about when it comes to training? So we've just hired the caregiver. Obviously, as part of recruiting that caregiver is not only hiring them, but training them. It's the training portion of training a caregiver. And another FAQ that we get, do we train caregivers or does the franchise owner train the caregiver? Does that happen in ATS or does that happen elsewhere? Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So the franchisee is ultimately responsible for ensuring that the new employees are receiving the proper and adequate training. And the reason that I bring this point up specifically is because every state has different kind of rules around home care licensing and what some of the requirements are for the staff that's providing the care to the clients. And that may oftentimes include specific training requirements that are required as part of a new hire or ongoing training requirements that have to be done throughout the year. And Right at Home has partnered with a company, their name is Home Care Pulse. They actually just changed their name to Activated Insights. Little tidbit for you there, Jen. And they've been just a phenomenal partner with Right at Home, in the sense that we've been able to make available to franchisees for no cost really substantial, robust e-learning platform through Home Care Pulse or through Activated Insights that can be administered online electronically. It can be administered in a group setting. Maybe a franchisee does kind of a new hire class where they've got 3 or 4 caregivers at a time, and you can do that training in person. And they provide the materials for that. And they've just been a phenomenal partner. And then with Home Care Pulse, franchisees are able to kind of buy up for super, super inexpensive to have access to additional courses that they may want to offer in the future.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. 2 questions have come in. I am going to read the first one here to you, Nikki.
Okay.
It says, does the corporate office offer recommendations for best places to target caregivers outside of the online job board? More so, out and about in the community, is that level of support offered?
Yes. And we even go a level deeper. You can tell I just get so excited about this.
I know.
I'm like a geek. No, the corporate office absolutely provides that level of support in terms of where are the best places to go. And we use data. We believe here at Right at Home and in our corporate office, one of our guiding principles is that decisions without data are just guesses. And so we really leverage the data that we have access to, and we have access to a lot of data. We know where caregivers are applying. We know what days most caregivers are applying, when it's more lucrative to post your positions, what titles to use. So yes, we provide that support, but we even go a level deeper and we say, hey, here are the different we call them kind of demographics of caregivers. And what we mean by that is there may be a demographic of caregiver that is called the stay-at-home mom kind of caregiver, that person who might be looking for something part-time during the day when her kids are at school and want to do something. There's going to be different language in a job posting that'll speak to that person versus somebody who is a career caregiver. This is something they are doing as their career, and maybe they're more so looking for benefits and some of the the professional growth in their career, even all the way to veterans, and those who maybe have provided care. Maybe they're retired themselves and they've been providing care to a mother or to a father who is maybe no longer with them, or maybe they've been moved into a facility and they found meaning in what they did. There will be different verbiage that will speak to them. So we even go a level deeper in really how to speak to these different demographics of caregiver applicants.
Perfect. Okay, thank you for that. Here's the next question. It says, Nikki, what is your view on handling the recruitment/early interviewing process in-house versus paying an outsourced company to handle much of that process?
So truly, I'm going to say it's 6 of one, half dozen of another. I think every decision that somebody makes has, pros and cons. Yeah. So I will start with the pros. The pros of handling something in-house is that you really get to market who you are. What is your culture? What do you stand for? What is it that you are representing in the community? And you can infuse that into your process, into the interviews, into the job postings, and really make that come alive for those applicants and being able to see that. And that starts to create engagement on the front end right away. It starts to add commitment levels even when people see that. The pros of using an outside company for assistance would be things like, hey, I'm a franchisee, I'm just getting started, and I'm out here selling the business. I'm marketing, I'm doing what I need to do outside. I need some help from somebody else to help me get caregivers hired. And if you find a good partner who can really align with what you're looking for I've seen that work, really, really well. So I think it just depends on the skill set of the franchisee and the office staff that they have, the time constraints that are there. Of course, when you source out some of that, that costs money. So what does your budget look like for something of that nature is also plays a role. Jen, I will add to that we actually have partners in place for this. So we have a partner that we have vetted. They're, again, great to work with, and they really understand the right at home, the right at home way and what we do and what our clients are, what kind of care they're receiving. And they themselves are experts in recruiting caregivers. So we very much value kind of both sides of that fence.
Okay, got it. All right, so here we are, 16 minutes in.
Yes.
Now I want to shift to retention strategies. So we've talked first to 15, 16 minutes about recruitment. Let's talk about, all right, so we've just hired this caregiver. How do we retain them? So let's talk about, not sure if there's a specific place you want to start, because I know that the list is lengthy on all of the options and things that we have in place regarding caregiver retention. So why don't we talk about maybe just the recognition programs that we have in place?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things that we believe in with all of our might is the power of rewarding and recognizing the care staff. The care staff are, as you can imagine, in a very notoriously thankless role. This is a role where they are isolated, working with one client in the client's home. A lot of times it's just the caregiver and the client. And that can feel very isolating. That can feel very thankless at times. And so it just really highlights the significant importance that it has on the franchisee to make that effort to recognize and reward those caregivers. And oftentimes it can be free. It can be the thank yous, the pats on the back, the kudos, the we appreciate yous that go a really long way. But we also believe in recognizing for behaviors that you want to continue to encourage in your business. And that may look different for different businesses. Some businesses may want to put a focus on longer shifts or maybe even shorter shifts. Some businesses may want to put a focus on a different type of care. Maybe it's dementia care. Maybe it is hospice type care. And so really understanding the franchisee, what are their objectives? What are they trying to achieve with their rewards program, their recognition program? And then with that, develop what that program looks like. And we actually are working with a few different partners right now with some different engagement technology, engagement platforms that we call it, where you can set up these programs kind of on the back end is what I call it, and then let that system work for you and capture those rewards and that recognition and have it do it kind of automatically, but it can be gamified. The caregiver can get an alert on their phone. Congrats, you've been recognized, you've been rewarded. And even if it is just a kudos, or maybe it's a $5 McDonald's gift certificate. I mean, it could be any number of things. Yep. But these platforms allow the franchisees to curate what it is that they're looking to achieve, and then design their recognition program around that.
Okay, so I'm going to ask a curveball question for you. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Can you describe to me the difference between a franchise owner who takes advantage of these recognition programs as compared to a franchise owner who does not?
Yeah. So
dun, dun, dun.
Jen, I have to tell the group, like, people probably think this is staged, right? Like maybe everybody on the call thinks that you've given me these questions ahead of time, and she's not, you guys. These are all off the cuff.
Yep.
So truly what we see in franchisees who don't have these types of programs, or who don't recognize the importance of the recognition and rewards, is just the sheer difference, the variance in retention rates, for one, is just, it's startling, really.
Yeah.
So those franchisees who are engaged, maybe they're leveraging a program like what I just talked about, or maybe they have their own kind of in-house program. We have a franchisee that it just makes a commitment to sending out handwritten cards on a monthly basis to caregivers and to their families, thanking them for the gift of their family member who works for them. And those things have just made such a difference. And we see those retention rates are just drastically different. And so I've got one who's able to grow and continue to train the staff that they have. And you see people who have worked for them for 20 years, which is unheard of. And then you've got some, franchisees that maybe aren't putting in that effort. And you've got caregivers that show up for their first shift and then they never show up again after that. And it really is kind of that startling different.
Yep. And I only ask that question because, as anyone knows, in business ownership, there are a lot of things that go into business ownership. There are a lot of things that you're doing on a daily basis. I mean, you are the owner of the business, so you can't do everything, but need to know how to do everything. And we're going to, train you on how to do all those things. However, this is something, caregiver satisfaction is so incredibly important. So if there's one thing that you take away from this phone call, if you become a right-at-home franchise owner, yes, there are a lot of things involved in owning and operating a right-at-home business, but don't forget to really appreciate your caregivers and show them this. These are multiple ways that you can show your appreciation, because it really helps with that retention part of the business. So a question actually came in. I'm going to ask this question. It was actually a question that I had teed up to ask you in the event that somebody doesn't ask it. And mine was worded a little bit differently, but I'm going to read this exactly how it's written here, Nikki. It says, do you help the owners establish an hourly wage for caregivers based on the geographic area? So, right? And before you answer it, my question was more so, let's see here, where did I see? It had to do with an FAQ that we get is, do we, as the franchisor, tell franchisees, okay, here's how much you pay your caregivers? So, between that question and this one here, that comment or that question that we get often, maybe if you can answer both.
Yeah, absolutely.
I had a feeling you were going to anyway.
Yeah, you know me. So the short answer is, we, the franchisor, we are not going to dictate what franchisees pay for their employees, whether that be a caregiver, an office staff, yourself as a franchisee. We are not going to dictate that, because they're your employees at the end of the day. They are not my employees. Mm-hmm. What we will, however, do is we do have a brand standard in place that does require franchisees to adhere to, at minimum, wage and hour laws, right? So while we're not going to dictate what you pay somebody, we also are going to say, but it must be at least legal minimum wage, right? So that's as much dictation, I guess, as we do. When it comes to helping kind of think through what a good pay rate is for staff, for caregivers, for office staff, we actually have put together a really robust competitive analysis guide for franchisees to use at the front end of their business as they're establishing business. But then also we recommend that it be something that the franchisee goes through every couple of years. And it really is it's a step-by-step guide on the types of things to look for when you're doing the competitive shopping, and how to ascertain the information about competitive pay rates in the area. And you want to be thinking about mileage. Do your competitors pay mileage? How much mileage do they pay? Do they pay travel time? Do they pay training? Is the training paid at a different rate than they're maybe working with clients? And so there's a lot of those different variables that we kind of coach franchisees through to consider and understand in their market to determine what is going to be best for them as in their business and what they want to accomplish.
Okay. We have 5 minutes left. Time
Oh,
flies when you're having fun.
Yes, ma'am.
If you can, let's close it out by talking about the esteemed Caregiver of the Year award that we hand out every year at our annual conference and how much it means to us.
Wow. I mean, don't make me cry on this, Jen. So the National Caregiver of the Year program is just such a phenomenal program and is regarded in such high esteem across our Right at Home brand. And it's a program where hundreds of caregivers are nominated on an annual basis by their franchisee, by the office staff, for the tremendous work that they are doing every single day for just who they are and what they bring to the table and the difference they make for their clients. And that process it's robust and such that there's a nomination process. And then there's, a process to kind of whittle down, if you will, that group into a more manageable size. And that is done from peers across the network. So fellow franchisees are reviewing other kind of territory or regional Caregiver of the Year nominations. And then it even goes to an external panel. And this external panel is made up of industry experts, folks that we work with. I talked about Home Care Pulse earlier. We've had the CEO of Home Care Pulse on this external panel of judges. And they are selecting 8 regional winners across the United States and 1 national winner. And this national winner is winning a $5,000 cash prize. They are receiving a trip to Home Improvement, our national conference. They're just treated that day, whether it be with spa treatments or to a Cubs game, whatever their fancy is, we make that happen for them. They bring a guest. They're on stage and they're accepting this national award in front of hundreds of franchisees and office staff. And it's just such an honor. And I have to tell you that this year's winner out of the West Coast was just amazing. And not only did he just represent the brand and his local office so well, he was also a veteran and just had tremendous appreciation for the vets that he's providing care for. And he was remarkable. They're just every year, it doesn't seem like they can get better, and they do.
Yes. And I mean, I'm not much of a crier, but I may or may not have gotten a little teary-eyed each year when we do Caregiver of the Year award. And this is the big award of the night every year at our annual conference, because it's an incredibly big deal. And one of the many things about Right at Home that I'm so proud of is how well we treat our franchisees as the franchisor, but the focus that we have on our caregivers is the heartbeat of our business, and how much that we do to help and support our franchise owners with that recruitment and retention, with this National Caregiver of the Year award being a very, very big deal, and something that caregivers, they know about from the moment that they're hired, and it's something that they strive for. So it's something that, they want to do their best to try to win that award.
It's amazing. But in addition to that, you talk about the franchisees and supporting the franchisees, because they also win in this. Not only do they win by being recognized in the network with their fellow franchisees, but they're winning marketing packages, and they're winning social media packages and pitch packages for I apologize. Yeah, I can't keep life from happening.
That's okay.
But no, they're also receiving a lot of opportunity to continue to elevate who they are in their community and promote that with everybody else. So it's a win-win, truly. It's amazing.
It is. And even I do want to note in this video that we create highlighting the National Caregiver of the Year, we interview the franchise owner, and I specifically remember the franchise owner talking about, we were so excited to hear that one of our caregivers won National Caregiver of the Year. And just him talking about the caregiver and getting emotional and his voice cracking. And I'm like, oh my gosh, he's going to start crying and then I'm going to start crying. And it's such a big deal and it means so much. And I love it so much. And I'm so proud of Right at Home that we do that for our franchise owners and for our franchisees. But Nikki, this has been an awesome conversation. Let's do this again some other time. I know that the people that have attended live appreciate you taking the time to do this, and even the ones that are watching on a recorded basis, hopefully they found it helpful. And again, thank you so much for taking the time to do this today.
Thanks for hosting, Jen. Have a great day.
Okay. All right. You as well. Bye.
Bye.